lastly, Congress can change the number of justices on the court at any time, and has done so 7 times throughout our history. Since 1989, the last time the court was expanded, the U.S. population has grown by over 800%. Yet the court has stayed stagnant at 9 justices. In the face of a stolen seat, a sitting justice implicated in a coup attempt, and a dangerous crisis of legitimacy, this common sense reform should absolutely be at the table.
So this is going to be a total disaster. First, it was Texas leading the way in getting court decisions to keep the Remain in Mexico policy and keep the Title 42 policy in place. Obviously, as you point out, the Supreme Court has stricken down the Remain in Mexico policy. Let me just give you the numbers that were provided by the Biden administration. They predicted that after the elimination of these policies, we should have about 18,000 people coming across the border illegally per day. Extrapolate that for an annual basis, and you're going to have more than 6 million people coming across the border a year. To put this in context, the largest city in the state of Texas is Houston. We will have about 1 Houston coming across the border in Texas every year. It took more than 100 years to create Houston. Now we will be adding a Houston every year. This is outrageous.
Wow.
And there's a reason why Americans are so angry about the Biden administration's approach to the border.
Likewise, OPR investigators determined that the agents involved in the Del Rio activity were not carrying whips. The third area focused on the individual actions of the agents. Despite initial appearances, after a careful review and analysis of videos, photos, and eyewitness accounts, this included an interview with a photographer on the scene and other members of the media, OPR found no evidence Border Patrol agents involved in this incident struck any person with their reins, intentionally or otherwise.
I wanted to ask, given the very strong statements that the President and the Vice President said at the time of this incident, including the President's promise that the agents would be punished, how is it possible for the OPR to conduct an independent investigation? Was there any, did they come under any pressure from these statements?
So let me frame it a minute like this. I've been a police chief over the last 20-some years, and during that time have certainly dealt with many high-profile controversies, incidents, things involving my officers that didn't look great initially. And it was inevitable, certainly not surprising, that there was going to be a reaction to that from the community, from those in the media, from elected officials, from different advocacy groups. Not at all surprising.
And so-called gotaways, I'm told that there is at least 500,000 gotaways, and these are the gotaways that we know of, that were seen on surveillance camera getting into the country. Is there anything more you can do about this, Governor? We put a list of all of the efforts that you have been making, but there are still people who say we need the governor of Texas to do more. What more can you do about it?
So let's go through and I haven't been able to see what you put up on the screen, but let's go through the things that we're doing. So we have a category called turnbacks, and we've turned back tens of thousands of migrants who try to get across the border, and we denied them even coming across the border. And now we have this new tool where we are now returning them to the border. All of these are completely unprecedented. No state in the history of the United States of America has ever done this. And Maria, of course, that's on top of doing things like Texas being the only state in American history to build our own border wall. Texas being the only state in history where we have laid down mile after mile after mile of razor wire as barrier to prevent people from coming in. So Texas is using every tool and strategy that we can. It is time now for Congress to step up under Article 1, Section 8 of the United States Constitution. Congress has the direct authority to call for an invasion and to do something about securing our border. It's time now for Congress to stop talking about it and step up and do something about it.
Governor Abbott in Texas issued an executive order today calling on the National Guard and officials there to apprehend undocumented immigrants. So I'm wondering if the administration is planning any legal response, and if you'll prohibit the National Guard from participating.
So I'll say this, that immigration enforcement is a federal authority, and states should not be mandating it, meddling in it. That is just, especially the Texas Governor of Abbott, who has a track record of causing chaos and confusion at the border. So I would refer you to DOJ on any legal matter. But again, this is immigration enforcement is a federal authority.